Hey there, it's Lacy J from Space Bear Media, the makers of Lost in My 40s. Did you know that Space Bear Media also has a YouTube page where you can go to watch a video pre-show before every podcast episode? If you haven't watched it yet, stop, go there, do so, and then come back. Hello and welcome to Lost in My 40s. We've made it to episode 13 somehow. This is the one where I think Shannon may run away with losing the power rankings. It is a Boone episode called Hearts and Minds, going to be presented by Ben. But first, Benjamin, can you update us on those power rankings?
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of movement last week. Kate is still running strong in first place with Locke just behind, and Jack just behind him rounding out third. And then, of course, the bottom of the barrel, we've still got Shannon, and then Sawyer and Michael. Yeah,
interesting. All right. I think we're going to have, well, Shannon's going to run away with it today with losing. I'm fairly certain of it. But I am curious about what happens with Michael next week. Until then, Ben. Take it away.
Yeah, so episode 13, Hearts and Minds. So once again, we start with the open eye shot, and this time it's Boone's eye. He's on the beach, and he's looking at Shannon as Saeed brings something to her. And there's sort of like dissonant string music while this is happening, and his eyebrows are like fucking epically arched.
Yeah, he looks crazed.
He looks crazed.
He looks absolutely crazed. It looks like the eyebrows are going to pull out weapons or like something bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
He's spending a little too much time with Locke, I think.
Yeah. A lot of creepy stare going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Saeed, he brings Shannon a present for helping with the French translations. And you can tell in this case, like, Shannon is totally like eye-fucking him.
Yeah, he's fucking hot.
And I guess he found some shoes for her amongst the wreckage. Nothing more romantic than pulling the slippers off the foot of a dead person, but
this is island life.
Yeah,
Ben.
It's a small and brackish pool.
They look like they were in a shoebox, though.
They were in a shoebox. Yeah. It makes you wonder if somebody was like bringing shoes home from vacation, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe. He's being Prince Charming, bringing her the shoes.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Since we don't have a cobbler.
You know what? That's true.
You see, Ben? You see what, Ben? You're just ragging on poor Saeed, and here he is filling the role that you've been clamoring for since, I think, episode 1, a shoe guy.
Well, I mean, there's making shoes, and then there's giving somebody shoes. I think giving Shannon, like Shannon
victories.
doesn't. Shannon's generally worthless, so giving her shoes is sort of a waste of resources.
Oh, that's what
it's not like he's giving her like hiking boots. They're clearly like
they look like
girly sandals,
girly shoes.
Yeah, something that she could probably like latch around her hoop earrings while he's fucking her. So she says that, they're a size off, but she loves them, and she makes some joke about her feet swelling. And
I don't think that's a joke. That's probably would happen if you were stranded on a hot, deserted island. I thought
you were going to say a hot Iraqi guy. So Saeed says, yeah. So Saeed says, another mysterious force of the island.
You're getting the Saeed's accent down, too.
Yeah, his is actually fairly easy. So Hurley comes up to Boone and asks him why, if he and Locke have been hunting boar so much, why haven't they brought anything back? He says, like, we haven't had any pork in a week. And Boone's like, well, we're hunting, I assure you. And then Hurley kind of comments like, people need food. I think he says, like, this isn't a game, dude, or something like that.
I actually wrote that quote down. It was, this isn't a game, man.
There you go. Man.
Yeah, but dude is a good guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either a man or dude.
Yeah. He was a boy, and then he started to run a business, and then he was a man. Fucking Boone.
Businessman.
I had a business.
And he doesn't even. His mother owns a business. That
Yeah, which
Yeah,
he's like,
pretty much
yeah,
just
exactly.
appointed him.
oh, yeah. No.
Yeah, it was I thought it was CFO, but whatever.
Is it CFO? This
Yeah.
guy's in
CEO.
charge of the money? No, that can't be right.
Well, he was cutting checks left and right. Anywho.
Oh, that's true.
And we go to our first flashback where Boone is at the tennis courts of some swanky country club with some blonde girl on his arm. His phone rings, and I noticed when this happened, I can't remember exactly what the model of this phone was, but I know it was a Samsung because I had the exact same phone. It was like that blue flip
way
phone.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Flip phone era, yeah.
Yeah. I was actually working for T-Mobile selling those things at the time.
I can remember getting a flip phone and thinking that was the coolest fucking thing.
Oh, yeah.
They were pretty cool. They looked just like Star Trek communicators.
Well, I got that
Yeah.
Razor. I had that Razor phone.
Yeah.
That was pretty badass back then.
Oh,
I got,
I had
like-
my
I
first cell
remember
phone
when
was
you got the Razor, Lacy.
me. Yeah, I did have the
I
Razor, but my
remember that.
first cell phone was the Nokia with the different color fronts that would like snap on and
yeah.
off. Do you remember those? You could
Yeah.
like change the color and the design.
Yeah, and they were indestructible.
Yes, yeah.
My first phone was a Primeco phone.
I don't even know what that is.
No.
That's when we worked back at Depot back in the mid-'90s.
Yeah.
Oh, mid-90s? Yeah, no, mid-90s I had a pager.
I had
Yeah.
a pager, too. I felt badass. A pager and a cell phone.
Wow.
Oh my
That was the
gosh.
shit.
Oh, we've gone off on this we're old tangent.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I never had a
Boone's on
pager.
the-
I was never
Boone's on
that.
the-
I was never that important
Of what?
Um,
to
to need a
have a
pager.
pager? Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't important. I just did a lot of drugs and stuff.
Yeah. So,
All right, cool. So we're on the
anywho,
tennis court.
So he's talking on the phone, and it's Shannon on the other end of the line. And he asks her how she is, and she says, things aren't good. And then she starts screaming at somebody. She's like, "Stay away from me! Stay away from me!" And then she says she can't talk right now, but she tells him. He asks where she is, and she tells him she's in Sydney, assuming she means Australia and not somebody named Sydney.
She says Australia.
Yeah, at the end, she said Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm knee deep in Sydney. Okay. Anywho.
You know what? I was going back through, editing some of the previous episodes, and the more I listen to them, it's like at least 35% of the conversation is about fucking, or masturbation. We are horny people. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I
That
won't
was
deny
changed
that.
for me in my whole life.
Am I on a delay? What just happened?
No.
Did that have to sink in for a second?
No, we just all had a delayed reaction, I think.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
fucking hilarious. Okay. Wow. Sorry, Ben. So we're in Australia. She's in
No.
Australia.
She's in Australia. She's
right.
knee deep in Sydney. Then we cut
Right.
back to the present on the beach. Boone walks up to Saeed and basically says, "Stay away from my sister." And Saeed immediately, you can tell he's a little amused by this. And he's like, "So basically, are you giving me an order?" And Boone says, it's just a suggestion.
This is a great conversation that they
Yeah.
have. A good
It's
moment.
so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he said, "And if I were you, I'd listen." And then again, Saeed even seems more amused. Saeed's like, "I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast."
Well, really? I mean, he's like, I was in the Iraqi Guard, you little pissant. Get the
Yeah.
fuck out of
Right,
here.
that was interrogating and torturing people. You're
Who the
nothing.
fuck are you?
Yeah, while you were at boarding school.
Right.
Basically.
And Boone says, "You mean the Republican guard, Saeed? Is that what you mean?" That's what Boone said, and then Saeed shot him.
And
The end.
And anyway,
hold on. I
and-
didn't see that part.
anyway, yeah, Saeed says, "Well, what if I don't?" I'd love
And if I
Kill
don't
you.
listen,
I love this scene because, from
So
going on what we know later is there such a thing as a sister cuckold?
Ew.
And I was wondering that when I saw this.
Because
when this scene was, I was like, why is he so jealous?
Yeah. Seriously. And if that is a thing, then Saeed is owning it like a fucking boss. Okay, so, breaking up that little tense situation, Boone Locke comes popping in from the background, says that he found some more boar tracks down by the stream, and then Boone, like a good little lackey, follows him into the woods. And then we cut to this sort of montage of them walking through the woods and walking across the stream, and Locke is kind of telling Boone that he needs to put aside his differences with Saeed. He says, we're gonna need him on our side. He's important, basically. And then Boone says,
he's a badass, basically.
Yeah,
and Locke
exactly.
knows it.
Yeah. And then, of course, Boone, what he's saying is, well, he's hitting on my sister, and Locke is like, okay, wow, you really know how to play the long game, buddy.
Why do you care?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
But already, like, Boone, it's, and we see this a lot through the next couple episodes, like, where you're starting to understand that Boone, Locke just knows things. He knows things that are going to happen, or he senses things that are going to happen, and you can already tell he's starting to try to, like, kind of pull people to his side, which I think with Boone especially.
Yep. Yeah. I don't want to say too much because I don't feel like earmuffing Derek right now, but yeah, you're touching on sort of the last half of this first season, how things divide up amongst the camp, I suppose. Yeah.
And I think at the end of this episode, it becomes like really, really clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
This specific relationship anyway. But anyway, Boone tells Locke that people are asking questions why they're not bringing back any food. And Locke says, well, people can eat fruit and veggies and fish or whatever. And says, like, the thing that we're doing here is actually more important. And then they start to move some leaves and some brush off of the jungle floor. And then we see the hatch. And Locke says, right now, this is our priority. And then we cut to the title card.
Yeah, and at this point, they've got, maybe like a 5-foot diameter circle, I guess, sort of cleared off the hatch, and you can see...
Doesn't seem like they've done that much.
That's what I thought, too.
Yeah, it's weird. Right. They just move like 6 vines, and there it is.
Day 24, and I'm like, if you're excavating this, you should be making some progress.
Yeah, which is amazing.
I think it had been 2 days, right, since they found it, I think.
Yeah. And which is
they
funny
done
that
more
you
with your
say
hands
that.
and in 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, Derek, because if I remember correctly, we will come to a point in the next several episodes where the excavation, it seems too quick, whereas now it seems too slow, which is funny. But what we can see as a new viewer is like about a 5-foot diameter circle they clear off, right? And there's, you can see clearly that it's a hatch now as opposed to just a piece of metal.
They don't have shovels, so,
No, they don't have shovels, which is why, like, when we get to later toward the end of season 1, the excavation that they've done on it, you're kind of like, how did we manage that? But anyways.
Coconut.
So we come back to the title screen where Hurley is collecting leaves from just walking around, pulling leaves off of plants.
This is another beautiful fucking scene. It's like 2, like, right in a row in this episode.
Jack walks up, and then Hurley asks Jack, is like, hey, you're a doctor, right? Anything I tell you or ask you or whatever will be confidential. Jack's like, yeah. Hurley says he's not feeling so good, that he's had a digestive crisis.
I don't know why when you use the word crisis made me laugh, but yeah, he's shitting his pants.
Yeah. And Jack asks him what he's been eating, and he just starts listing off basically every fruit on the island.
Too much fiber.
I wrote them all down. Bananas, papayas, mangoes, guava, passion fruit, coconut, and starfruit.
There you go.
The usual.
the usual.
Island diet.
Jack is like, well, Jin's been catching fish. And, of course, Hurley doesn't want to take a fish from Jin because he thinks Jin doesn't like him because in one of the first episodes he offered him a sea urchin and Hurley was like, no, dude. Yeah, like, no way. So now he thinks he, like, insulted Jin's family honor or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And so then Jack asks Hurley if he's actually eating the leaves that he's picking. And Hurley says, these aren't for eating. And And then, the way I thought this thing was like,
wiping.
Jack asked, what is he using them for? Hurley says, depends.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, my.
You've been waiting days to say that. I know it.
No, I came up with that one last night, actually.
Oh, all right. Just
so it's only like
day.
18
You were taking
hours,
a
maybe.
shit.
Now I was just reading back through this.
And now I'm picturing Hurley in a leaf diaper. So thank you very much.
There you go.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No.
Not a good pick.
Hashtag old people diapers. Hashtag sponsor us.
You want Depends to sponsor us?
I don't give a shit at this point.
Well,
Why not?
Why
Four of us
not?
in our
Depends,
40s.
shit, yeah.
Yeah. We're already
I
talking
wore
about
them
we're already
once.
talking about our flip phones. It's not that far away, y'all.
Oh, shit.
I wore them
Exactly.
once. I had a kidney problem, and then I couldn't pee, but I felt like I had to, so I put on the Depends because I was like, I can't leave the bathroom unless I'm wearing Depends. So I made Caleb go to the store and buy them for me.
Oh, he must have loved that. Hi,
Yeah.
I'm just here for my wife's diapers.
Oh, he's awesome. So he went and got them. But yeah,
I
I
know.
wore Depends until I was able to pee again. So
Wow.
That sucks.
Yeah, your hair looks really good today,
thanks.
Christy. Are you going somewhere?
Nope.
Just to the island
right.
with your friends.
Oh, that's right.
Hurley.
We're actually recording an episode. Yeah, so go ahead, Ben.
Anyway, we come back to the jungle, and it looks like Kate is on her knees, giggity, collecting fruits or something. Jack walks up and sees her there, and then he just kind of hangs back, little creeper style. He doesn't say anything. And then Kate just sort of smiles, and she's like, "I can see you, Jack." Jack tells her like that he wasn't hiding. Mm-hmm. He said, "I just didn't want to disrupt you from whatever you're doing." And this is they start actually getting a little kind of playful here, kind of flirty. And she says, "It's not a secret." And he's like, "Well, sometimes it's hard to tell with you." So then she shows him what she's doing. She's got a bunch of passion fruit seeds, and he's like, "Well, why do you have those? What are those for?" And she kind of looks over and says, "I'll show you." So they're both, again, they're kind of flirty, walking away. And Jack says something about, I hope you found a coffee bar or something lame like that. And then we cut to Sun in a clearing. She's on her knees, like in tilled soil, so it looks like she's built a garden. And she actually looks pretty hot in that little tank top she's wearing.
Oh, yeah.
And then Jack walks up. Jack and Kate walk up, and then it looks like Sun is using some sort of like bamboo as like a seed drill or something. Obviously, they're planting a bunch of food there. And Jack says, with the boar running out, we're going to need this food. And Kate observes that maybe they're not running out of food, and maybe Locke is kind of just keeping it for himself. I want to say at this point, with Sun and Kate both in the garden, I was seriously thinking about some plowing.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yes.
I mean, both of them right there. Like it was, Jack, you did yourself a disservice, buddy.
Just sowing your seed.
You should have gone for it.
The seeds of love.
Yeah.
We're dating ourselves again.
So then we cut back to the hatch with Boone and Locke, and they can't break the glass. They can't get the door open. And Boone asks Locke what he's doing, and it looks like he's preparing something in like a fruit husk. He's using it like a mortar and pestle, and he's like grinding something up. You can't even really tell what it is. And when Boone asks him what it is, Locke very matter-of-factly says, "This is for later." And he doesn't say anything else.
Yeah.
So at this point, what did you guys think? What did you think Locke was making?
Drugs.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. Well, because, yeah, I mean, they're on an island. What else what kind of paste is he going to need to make? I figured he, had some walkabout knowledge of whatever he wanted, and he was grinding it together.
Huh?
Or maybe I just think anybody grinding in a mortar and a pestle in the middle of the jungle is trying to get high. I don't know.
Yeah, it is very shaman style, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so that's where my head went. What about you guys? Do you remember, Christy, what you originally thought when you saw it? Because I remember that's what I thought.
No, I guess I thought maybe he was like whipping up some glue or something.
That's what I thought. I thought it was some sort of
Really?
adhesive or something. Yeah.
Okay. Or I suppose you could, I don't even know if it would be possible, but if he was trying to do some sort of like explosive, if he had the right stuff.
I thought that too, but I was like, no, that's not going to.
Like,
what about
nothing
you?
natural on that island that you could make an explosive out of.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. What did you think it was, Derek?
I thought it was like some kind of cement type stuff or glue or maybe something to put on them to keep away mosquitoes. I don't know. I didn't think drugs though.
Huh. All right. Well, I guess I'm the only fucking crackhead who immediately went to drugs.
You fiend. And then, so Boone says, we've been coming here a couple days. I'm not really sure what we're doing. And then Locke starts speaking in Italian and starts telling Boone this kind of story about Michelangelo. And said like his father didn't really realize that he was gifted, and he beat Michelangelo, and said something about like, I don't know what it meant, but like no son of mine is going to use his hands to make a living or something like that.
Well, I think what that means is
they were wealthy.
You consider the time of Michelangelo, it was shameful to be a trade worker if you came from high society. So I'm certain that's what that meant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty shameful to beat your children when you're from high society.
Well,
times have changed.
Times have changed, yeah.
Yeah, several centuries ago.
So then he says that because of that, Michelangelo learned not to use his hands. And he talks about some years later that there was somebody important, whatever, was visiting his workshop, and Michelangelo was just staring at a piece of marble. And the guy asked him what he was doing. And Michelangelo said, "I'm working." And he said that for like 4 months, he'd go in there, he'd sit there, just look at the marble, then he'd go home, do his normal thing. And he said 3 years later that that marble was the statue of David. And then Locke kind of draws a parallel and says, that's what we're doing here. We're trying to figure this out. And he asks Boone, how do you open it? How do you open this? It has no handle, no latch, no way to open it. And then we come to our second flashback where Boone...
Can I stop you for 1 second? Because I had written in my notes, this unexpected partnership is nice. And it's like you start to see Locke and Boone bonding. And it's really interesting because as you get to know Boone more, you find out like he's sort of like a loser. He's not really close with anybody, right?
Yeah.
I mean, except for chasing his sister around. And like, but it's kind of the same with Locke as you get to know, his past. And he was kind of the... middle-aged guy stuck in a career. Yeah. Right, exactly. And they were both
found
each other in the box factory.
Yeah. They were both really ineffectual in their when they were there.
In their real lives.
In the real world. Yeah.
Exactly. And so here, like, they both are finding, like, Locke is finding purpose through the fact that he's walking and he's really into the island as its own
hunting
sort of entity.
And orienteering,
and Boone is still ineffectual.
Right, but
that
it's like
true.
He's recruiting him. It's like, and he starts to encourage him. And I feel like it might be the only place that Boone has ever gotten that in his life.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's almost like a father figure type thing.
Yeah. And it's an endearing relationship with two characters that, like, one so far, he's just this sort of creepy guy, and the other one is he's this jackass. But together, they kind of, like, they're convincing me that they're useful and good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we're back in flashbacks.
Yeah. So I guess we're in Australia. We're in Sydney. Giggity. Boone is knocking at the door, and this big hatchet-jawed, like Neanderthal-looking motherfucker answers. And the guy asks,
really unattractive.
I actually said on here, this actor looks like. I imagine this is what Gabriel Byrne would look like after 2 straight weeks in a hotel room snorting protein powder.
What the fuck?
He does. If you look at his face, he looks a lot like Gabriel Byrne. He's got the same jaw and everything, but he's just this big. Power. Well, yeah, because looks like a big old roided out dude. Anywho, the guy's got an Australian accent and asks who he is, and Boone says, I'm her brother. And then Shannon walks into the room and asks Boone what he's doing there. And he immediately looks really put out and says something about, I was on a plane for 15 hours, kind of like, what the fuck? She tells him it's not really a good time, that they were on their way out to see friends and he should call later. And then she kind of moves her hair to the side or whatever. And you see this bruise on her forehead, obviously from Brian. And then Boone walks to the door, obviously going somewhere else. And then we come back to the present where Jin is walking to the beach with a fishnet, and Hurley comes up behind him carrying that fucking ridiculous spear that they made, the fish spear that they made in an earlier episode. Hurley asks Jin where he fishes, says like, dude, I'll use my own tools. Just show me where they are.
In the water, Hurley. The fish are in the water.
That's
where do you find the fish? In the water.
Or just follow him and see where he's doing his fishing.
Seriously. So yeah, Jin doesn't really seem to understand him, but I think he kind of gets the idea because he sees the ridiculous tool, and he sort of kind of chuckles. He's like, "No, just go. You're not really serious." And we cut back to the jungle with Locke and Boone.
No, you skipped the best part of that scene is that Jin says something to him in Korean, and Hurley goes,
"You just said something mean, didn't you?"
Yeah, I love that moment. It's so good.
Then we again got back to Locke and Boone, and Boone says that they're going to need to tell people about the hatch. They're gonna figure out that we're not hunting boar, and Locke says that they're not ready and that they won't understand it. And Boone is like, "Yeah, well, I don't understand it." And John says, "Exactly, like that's why we can't tell them." And Boone says that he at least needs to tell Shannon, and then Locke. And the way he says this, I always found kind of weird. He said, Locke asks, why do you care so much about her? And to me, it was sort of like almost chilling the way that he references her. Like, I don't like Shannon, obviously, but like the way he spoke about her in that moment, it seemed like he just kind of like she was disposable to him. He's just like, why is she important to you? Like, he just doesn't see her value at all. Which, hard to argue with that.
No, he's not, yeah.
I think he was an only child,
worthless.
so he doesn't understand sibling relationships.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
well,
not to mention
especially not this one.
Yeah,
No.
and not to mention like even saying that, like he knows they're siblings. So the fact that he says that is even more sort of it shows
Yeah,
that
that's what threw me off too. It's like he knows they're brother and sister.
Yeah. So there's definitely some sort of like emotional disconnect there where John is like either, a higher purpose or he's just that sort of incapable of understanding.
See, I didn't even think that was the creepiest thing that Locke said in that scene. I
Really?
thought so when Boone is talking about we should tell them about the hatch or whatever, and Locke says, they're not ready. They won't understand it. And you're like, whoa, how the fuck do you understand it? Like, what are you talking about?
You know
right?
what this hatch is for?
Yeah, and so it's like it's creepy that he seems to have some sort of like understanding or clue or something
It's
that
imprinted on the hat or something. It's so weird.
And so to me, that was the creepiest line. But I mean, it's Locke, so almost everything he says is creepy.
Right.
So Boone defends her and says, she's smart, she's special. And Locke is like, okay, so be it, whatever. And Boone tells Locke that he can't keep lying to her. And then Locke makes an observation. He says, you can't keep lying to her. You can't stand the way she makes you feel when you lie to her. Boone doesn't seem to understand that distinction and tells Locke that she can keep a secret. And then Locke kind of looks at him. He's like, are you sure? Have you really, really thought this through? And Boone says, yeah. And then as Boone starts to walk away, Locke pulls out a knife and just bashes him on the back of the head with it and knocks him out.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was kind of surprising.
I loved it.
It is surprising. It's a surprising moment because you don't see it coming, but if you analyze it, it's not so surprising because Locke has decided he's got some kind of plan for whatever he's doing, and clearly Boone was getting in the way of that. And so it doesn't surprise me that he would take that action. It's just sort of shocking when it happens.
I don't think he sees Boone as being in the way. I think he would, like he said, this is for later. He knew Boone was going to do this. He just sees this as the necessary end to it. He knew it was going to happen already. So I don't think
he knew it. I think he was preparing for it. So if he confronts Boone with, are you sure this is what you want to do? If Boone makes the wrong decision in Locke's eyes, because Locke apparently sees some plan that he's got going on, that he's like, no, you've got to go through this, No,
I think
Boone
that
multiple chances.
I think that Locke was planning on something even before he had any idea that Boone might say something to Shannon, because he was mixing that shit up, I think that he was going to like make Boone go on a journey.
Yeah, well,
no matter
clearly he
what.
thought
go
he thought
meet a
Boone
spirit
needed it.
animal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh, what other kind of animal has... Oh, I know. He's like an emperor penguin. Yeah, with the eyebrows, with the big eyebrows.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I'm
great.
gonna. I feel like I need to pat myself on the back that I came up with the animal with the craziest eyebrows in 2 seconds.
Yeah, that was very good.
Do emperor penguins fuck their sisters?
I don't know. Not sure.
Animals don't care.
I'm sure David Attenborough has mentioned that at one time or another, but so we cut to the next scene where Boone is tied up with rope and he's kind of woozy from, getting slammed in the back of the head. And we see Locke sitting on a log or something doing the exact same thing he was earlier, preparing some sort of mixture.
And at this moment, we all know now that Locke is into rope play.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, that was some crazy knots he did.
The
Yeah.
way he got Boone tied up, it's like, yeah, you done this before.
Yeah. I actually wrote that down. I was like, at this point, I was wondering if Locke was into some bondage kink. And he's like, well,
Absolutely.
if we're on a remote
Definitely.
desert island. If not now, when?
No, he learned all of this when he was in the Weebelows.
Oh, that's true.
Oh.
Yeah, later
Yeah.
on we find that out in the episode.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yep.
But at this time it was kink.
I don't know. Maybe that's what they teach in the Weebelows.
Mm.
Saeed asked, what'd you guys learn? Kink,
Boy Scouts.
rope play.
I mean, I think that it is a Christian organization, so
Wait, so does that mean it's more or less likely? Because I'm not sure.
I would say more.
It's it's probably chock full of pedos.
Oh, fuck.
Um,
Where did that come
Boy
from?
Scouts was.
Boy
Yeah.
Scouts,
Oh,
totally.
are they?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Weeblow is like between Cub Scout and Boy Scout, so I'm sure they
That's
train them young.
Oh, God, this took a terrible turn.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So he asks Locke why he's doing this, and Locke says, "I'm doing this because you need to let go of things, and it's what's best for you." And he walks and he takes some of that paste and he just kind of smears it on the back of his head where the wound was. And he says, "This is so it doesn't get infected."
Lies.
Yes.
well, maybe it did have some antibiotic purposes as well.
Yeah.
Well,
in addition,
okay.
yeah. It'll kill bacteria and make you trip balls.
This is one of the worst trips I've ever seen.
Oh man,
This is horrible.
I loved it personally. I
From my
really
point of
loved it.
view.
Yeah.
But from Boone's point of view, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as he's walking away, Locke says, "I'm not going to untie you. The camp is 4 miles west." And Boone says, "Well, I don't know which way is west." And then Locke just pulls out that fucking knife again, rears back like he's going to launch it, throws it right down in front of Boone into the ground.
Yeah, like an inch from his knee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are really cavalier with these fucking edged weapons. I like the number of times that they are like, somebody's going to lose a fucking eye here.
Yeah.
And he tells,
professional.
he tells Boone, like, when you have the proper motivation, you'll be able to get free. Yeah.
Oh, that was interesting.
Yeah.
It's just totally a WTF moment.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yes, yeah, certainly when you're watching it for the first time, it's kind of like, has Locke gone crazy? Or
Because they're just their best buddies working on the
Right.
hatch, and next thing you know, he's
I guess I
tied
should
up.
shut up, Derek. What was your having just watched it for the first time?
Just what I said is like, yeah, they were like best buddies right now. They seem to be getting along, and the next thing you know, he knocks him out and he's tied up.
Yeah.
So it was shocking for me there.
And then he goes all Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely see Locke as a top. All right. So as Locke walks away, we actually get into another flashback. And Boone is in a police station. He's talking to some cop there, and you can actually hear Sawyer in the background saying something about like it wasn't his bottle, or something about it was his bottle. I gave it to him.
He also says, "Hey, Croc Hunter, how come nobody wants to hear my side of the story?"
Yeah.
Because I guess
And
he was
this
still
is,
alive.
This is an important moment because this is the first time that we see two of the castaways like coming into really close contact in a flashback, if I remember
actually
correctly.
Other than pause it and go back and be like, wait a minute, that's Sawyer. What the hell?
Other than flashes on the plane or in the airport, like outside of that, it's the first time that we really see that. And the interesting thing is it looks like Boone looks directly at him, but he doesn't seem to have recognized him yet on the island.
I wonder if chronologically that is Sawyer's first nickname was Croc Hunter. Anywho, and then the cop asks him, well, if she's your sister, why is her last name Rutherford and yours is Carlisle? And he talks about, that her father married my mother when we were both young, which reveals them to be step siblings.
Yeah, 10 and 8, which is important.
To
know how old they were when they met, because that
makes it even more
We'll
ooky.
talk about that. We'll talk a little more later.
Yeah, and the cop just kind of says, okay, so no blood relation. And then for some reason, Boone's like, well, you know my mom? She's got this marriage empire, and I'm the CFO of one of the subsidiaries. And then the cop just makes some... Yeah, I run a business. The cop is just like, okay, little boy, whatever. Says something about, you want to buy my wife's dress or something. It's just...
Yeah, he was going to sell the wedding dress.
Yeah.
It's only been worn once.
Yeah. And then he says, like, with no physical evidence, we can't do anything. And he says, we're not the dating police.
Yep.
So still in the flashback, we cut to some dock somewhere where Boone walks up and Brian is obviously working at the docks or something. And Boone says, I want you to break up with my sister and I'm going to pay you $25,000. And Brian's like, I love her. It's worth closer to 50. I liked that line. That was just like, whoa, okay. Wheeling and dealing here. So Boone just busts out the checkbook. Probably his mom's name is probably on those fucking checks. I guarantee it.
Also, he's writing a check. LOL.
Yeah, seriously.
Writing a check. It's 2004.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, all right, I'm going to Venmo you.
No, I guarantee you Boone would be trying to pay you in Bitcoin. Absolutely.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's fair. Hey, Ben.
Yeah, babe?
Got any special occasions coming up that you need a card for?
Is this a trick question?
No, it's an advertisement.
Is this about barbcards.com again?
Bingo.
So I suppose you're going to remind me that each handmade card is only $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't come with busy backgrounds or flowery poetry?
You got it. Barbcards.com offers to-the-point communication within several different categories, including our favorite, potty mouth. And if you can't find what you want, barbcards.com can do customizations.
Can I still get all of my cards for no more than $4 shipping, no matter the size of the order?
You know it. Barbcards.com has got all you need. Hey, Ben.
Oh my God, what are we selling now?
Merch.
Our merch?
Yes, sir. Shirts, coffee mugs, wine tumblers, bottle openers, stickers, magnets, and more. Your choice of product and your choice of Space Bear Media graphic from any of our podcasts.
Please tell me we're not making merch now, too.
Of course not. We'll stick to podcasts, and Pixis products will do the rest.
Thank God. I bet you have more to say, though.
Sure do. Pixis Products is a small business run by a local mom, well, local to us anyway, who needed something else to do besides being a snack bitch.
A what?
A snack bitch, also known as a mom with a young child.
There's still more, isn't there?
Yepers! Pixis Products works with other small businesses for supplies, art, and other collaborations at every opportunity, including ours. In fact, Pixis Products even gave Space Bear Media our own storefront on their site. You can find us at shopspacebear.com.
Say what?
You heard me. Go to shopspacebear.com and buy something.
And then we come back to the present, and we come back to the garden where Sun and Kate are working. Kate says something about like she loved to travel, and she was on her way to Bali, and then somehow ended up on a flight to LA. And then she says something about like being careful what you wish for, and Sun sort of smiles. And Kate immediately is like, wait a second, you understood what I said. And Sun looks like a deer in headlights at this point. Like, she's got big eyes anyway, but she's just like, her eyes take up half of her face in this scene. And she's like, yeah, I can't believe it. You speak English and you didn't tell anybody. And we cut to the other half of that marriage on the beach. Jin is fishing. He's got his fish nets out into the surf, and he's bringing fish back up. And I don't know what Hurley's got. He's got a couple sticks tied to something, and it looks like he tried to make some sort of net or something, and it looks like a goddamn fool.
He's terrible at it.
Yeah. And he sees Jin bring fish, and he's just like, okay, screw it, I'm out of here. And as he's trying to get out of the water, he steps on a sea urchin.
And goes absolutely fucking bananas after it happens.
I'm just going to say, I know this is a little early for this, but this is my fucking favorite scene.
I love the scene too.
Of course. I knew it would be a Hurley one.
Absolutely.
Well, he just starts screaming like, pee on it, pee on it. Like,
yes, that's what I thought was so funny.
What the fuck? And he almost worried. He's like, says he's going to get gangrene. What are you
But then he like reaches out for Jin's
he reaches for
package.
Jin's package, And
Jin's like, no.
Yeah. It's like, definitely like pointing at his cock. He just pee on it. Just pee on it.
Oh my God.
Sounds like,
what was he going to do? Like whip his dick out and hold it for him? Why is he grabbing?
Well, I think he was trying to, because he didn't understand. So I figured if he grabbed for his dick, like, meant piss on it.
Okay. Yeah, Jin's like, no.
That's the first time he heard him speak English. No.
No. And we cut to the jungle where Saeed is just kind of sitting on the jungle floor. It looks like he's trying to magnetize a needle. Then he puts the needle on a piece of cork.
He's doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we learned in the Weeblos or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he puts it on a piece of cork with a cork in the water, tries to create a compass. And then once again, Locke just sort of slides up from behind, typical Locke fashion.
Yeah.
And Saeed draws his knife because he's sort of surprised, and Locke says, "Sorry, I guess I'm sneakier than I give myself credit for." Foreshadowing.
Sneaky, sir.
Yeah. And he tells Saeed that they were hunting boar, but that Boone thought he should take the afternoon off, and says, Boone's really eager. He wants to learn how to hunt. And Saeed says, well, you think he's gonna get anything? And Locke just kind of smiles and is like, nope.
Nope.
No,
because Saeed was like surprised that he's trying to teach Boone how to hunt.
Yeah.
And he kind of looked at him like, really, Boone?
And Boone, really? I'm nailing his sister.
Yeah.
So then Locke asks Saeed what he's doing, and Saeed says he's trying to make sense of Russo's maps, but he can't make sense of them. And then once again, Locke says something very, very matter-of-factly. He just says there's nothing to make. And Saeed sort of kind of agrees with him, and then asks about Saeed's compass, and said like he had made one of those when he was a Weebelo. And then Saeed asks, what's a Weebelo? And Locke explains to him the sort of Boy Scout thing and how they get badges and tie knots and identify birds and all that type of stuff when they're not running from the Scoutmasters.
Yes.
Wow.
Pitching tents.
Oh, no. That
was great.
No.
And then then Locke admits, much to everyone's surprise, that he wasn't a very popular kid. Yeah. And then
shocker.
And Locke says, I'll leave you to it. And then he hands Saeed a compass that I guess he had on him. And Saeed says, aren't you going to need this? And once again, Locke, in his self-assured way, just says, not anymore.
Right. See? He's like one with the island already.
He is.
Like,
he is.
Fuck it. I know. Yep.
I know what's going on.
Previous episode, he predicted rain exactly where it was going to start.
Yep. And we come back to the jungle again, and Boone is still tied up, and then you can hear Shannon screaming, help me. And then you find out that she's also tied up. And then you start to hear the creature in the background. You start hearing the whatever those noises are. Sort of
sounds like a fucking dinosaur.
It does sound like a dinosaur. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like a roller coaster as you're ticking up to the top.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it sounds. Yeah.
And then you hear, and then you still hear this thing tromping around in the background, and Boone starts reaching to grab the knife.
So there's his motivation.
Boy,
there's
it
his
painful
motivation
too.
And then so he leans forward and he actually gets the knife. And when he cuts it, the knife makes a snapping sound like it was a fucking whip. Like it sounded like it went supersonic. It was, and I was like, what the rope? I don't care how tight rope is. It doesn't make that sound.
It does on the island.
No,
it does on the island.
Just supersonic.
Locke is like, yeah, well, I'm a Weeblo, motherfucker. Boone runs into the clearing and he sees Shannon tied to a tree. He cuts her free. First mistake. And then they take off they take off running through the woods. And the thing I noticed with Boone is he's running with the blade like out in front of him, which I think even in this situation kind of adds unnecessary peril. Like you're literally going to put someone's eye out with that fucking thing.
Because you could just trip and fall on it? Is that what you mean?
Trip and fall on it, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't run around with a lot of knives.
Running with scissors,
Yeah.
No, I don't have my knife running techniques down. It's just not something I do.
Turn the blade
it's
around.
Something that you have to learn in the Weebelows.
Yeah, exactly.
I was in the Girl Scouts.
So you face it towards you, right?
Yeah, you just hold it up to your neck as you run.
Yeah.
You just hold the blade backwards and run like this, and that way, if you fall, it's not going into you. But hey, it's Boone. So as they're running, they end up finding this.
It's kind of what was it? Someone in Dale versus Evil or whatever. Trevor. No.
Are you having a stroke?
No.
One side of her face is starting to sag.
What's happening?
No, there's a movie.
There are lots.
And
It's such a good movie. I can never forget it.
Two rednecky guys in a movie.
Yeah, two rednecky guys, and then there's the college kids, and the college kids are all like accidentally killing themselves, and the redneck guys are like, I don't know what's going on, but the college kids think that the rednecks are bad.
This is not a movie. This is not a movie.
I don't know.
All right.
Sorry.
Anywho, they end up finding this thicket of what looks like it's like petrified vines or something. I don't really know what that is. And you hear the creature, and they run inside there and start hiding, and then you can hear the creature outside making all of its weird dinosaur and clicking noises. And then it kind of goes away. The sound kind of fades away. The sort of light comes back in, and then it kind of seems like the creature is gone. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. So every time a monster comes or a polar bear comes or some shit like that, they're hiding in these groves of trees. That's where they all go to hide.
It's the same grove, it looks like, too.
Yeah,
okay, so why don't they live in that?
Yeah.
Why
are
not
they
go to
out
that
on
part of the
beach?
island?
Because
that seems to be where the monster hangs out.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, that's true. It hasn't come on the beach yet.
Plus, only a couple of them can fit in there. There's no water.
True.
You know what?
Tucker
and actually, when they were running,
Evil.
I did see, you almost saw the monster. It looked like a puff of smoke or something in the distance.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened yet. It's the next one.
Oh, it's next thing.
And we will get to that for sure.
And then, so you think the creature's gone. Wrong. It's not. It comes crashing back into the thicket. And of course, they're all scared. And then we cut back to the jungle where Saeed and Jack are walking. And Saeed asks Jack, which way do you think north is? Jack sort of looks at the sun and sort of points out, if that's north, that's west, or whatever. Or if that's west, that's north. And Saeed's like, yeah, exactly. That's where it should be. And then he shows him the compass and he points in a different direction. He goes, but north actually points this way. And Jack looks a little confused. He's like, well, what are you saying? And Saeed's like, well, obviously the compass is faulty, which I thought was really funny because with everything else going on, that's just the sort of common sense things sometimes seem to evade people.
Yeah.
And then he asks Saeed, where'd you get that? And Saeed says, Locke gave it to him. And we cut back to the vine thicket where Boone and Shannon are hiding. You don't hear the creature at this point. You just hear birds. And Shannon asks Boone, what did you do to piss Locke off? And Boone's like, I didn't do anything. And we cut to another flashback. Back at that house, Shannon opens the door, and Boone walks in and basically says, like, get your bags, grab anything you want, we're going home. She she seems hesitant, like she doesn't want to leave. And then her lantern-jawed asshole boyfriend comes back, says, you don't really get what's going on here, do you, dude? And then you could tell from the look on Shannon's face, she knows exactly what's going on. And then at that point, Boone realizes like she was just playing his ass. Like she was getting money from him. And Boone's like, you've done this before, haven't you? And Brian goes off and says, she's just getting her due. Like, you know, your mother fucked her out of her inheritance or whatever.
Yeah. His mom sounds pleasant.
Yeah. So Boone calls her a little bitch, and then Brian intervenes, and I think Boone calls him a piece of shit, and then Brian just starts wailing on him.
Beats the shit out of him.
Yeah. He beats him pretty bad. And then Shannon comes to tries to come to his defense, sort of, and just like, get off of him. Boone gets up, and his nose is all bloody, and he ends up walking out of that same house. We cut back to the beach in the present, and Locke is sitting on a rock, just sort of looking out at the ocean. Jack walks up to him, asks him if he's seen any ships, and Locke's just like, no, but I'm patient. And Jack asks if he can sit down and join him, and this says, like, we haven't talked in a while. And Locke says, like, yeah, well, you're a busy man. And I think Jack says something similar. Yeah, so are you. And then Jack just asks him, like, where's Boone? Locke plays dumb. Says, I don't know. Some dumb joke about him not being on his hip. And then Jack says something about the boar. He asks, like, why aren't you guys catching boar? And Locke tells him that he thinks they moved out of the valley. We cut to another scene where Kate and Son are walking, and Kate just asks her if anyone else knows that she spoke English, and she just says Michael did, and that she kept it a secret. And then she admits that she had taken English lessons when she was in Korea. And that she didn't tell her husband because it was complicated. And then she asked Kate, like, haven't you ever lied to somebody that you love? And we cut back to the beach where Hurley is still sitting there, and Jin appears to be opening a sea urchin. Hurley says, are you sure you don't speak English? And then basically says that, your wife's hot.
That was great.
Jin obviously Jin still doesn't understand. He cuts open the sea urchin and he offers it to him, and Hurley just takes the thing, slurps it back, and then turns over to the side and starts puking all over the place. And this
Jin's face is so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. He got a kick out of Hurley's vomiting for sure.
I don't know why, because sea urchin is really good, actually.
I've never had it.
It's uni. It's sushi, but I love sushi, so.
Yeah, I like sushi too, but I've never had that for some reason.
Then we cut back to the beach where Charlie and Jack are talking, and Jack is asking why he hasn't seen him around the caves, and Charlie's like, well, I'm in withdrawal, and Claire was abducted, and Ethan tried to kill me. Like, that's why I'm not hanging out there. And then Jack asks Charlie what he thinks about Locke. And what Charlie says is really funny. He says he's highly disturbed. He probably killed all of his mates at the post office the day his mom forgot to put a cookie in his lunch tin.
Yeah, that's quite a line.
Yeah.
That's back when going postal was a thing.
Yeah.
Then he's like, but he saved my life. So that's not really what I think about him. And he says, like, if there's one person that I trust to save us, it's Locke.
Actually, what he says is, if there was one person on this island I would put my absolute faith in to save us all, it would be John Locke. And I think it's important that we get that quote correct, because he uses the word faith, and that Locke and faith go tied hand in hand, like it in the plot of this show, or like as a theme in this show. And so I find it interesting that Charlie is already starting to point that out, that he sees that,
cut back to the caves where, I don't know, Michael's looking at some wooden box that he just pulled out of a bag, and Walt comes running up with his dog. And then Hurley comes in and says, and it's like, oh, you found your bag. And then Jin walks up with a fish and gives it to Hurley. And he's kind of smiling. And then Hurley notices that the fish has already been gutted. And obviously, Jin doing something nice. And then you see Jin and Sun having sort of a nice, sweet moment. One of the first ones I think we actually really see where they're looking like affectionate.
Yeah.
And then Kate is, I don't know exactly what she's doing, but like washing her clothes or something in the cave. And then Jack comes up and says, hold out your hand. I've got something. And he ends up giving her guava seeds for the garden. And we go back to the jungle where Boone and Shannon are running, are tromping through the jungle. She asks if they're going in the right direction. And he's like, I don't know. You don't have to follow me if you don't trust me. And then, once again, he tells her he didn't do anything to Locke. She doesn't really seem to believe him.
And she says you're a terrible liar.
Yeah. Yeah. And she asks like why Boone's keeping secrets for Locke. And Boone comes to his defense and just like, he's the only person that really knows what's going on here. And then Boone tells her that they found the hatch. And she says something stupid like, you mean you like a door? And he says, yeah, stupid. That's what a hatch is. Yeah. And then as like basically right after he tells her this is when you see it looks like a bunch of like shit blows up off the floor or the jungle floor in the background.
Yeah, it looked like smoke.
Yeah, it looked like smoke came flying up. And they both take off running.
Finally, we can call it the smoke monster because that's actually its full name.
Oh wow!
We've only been saying the monster thus far because Derek didn't know that, and now we can call it the smoke monster.
Wait, do you even really know that at this point?
Oh yeah, I mean you can see it moves like it puffs at the same moment that the thing is there. Like it shows you. You just get a brief like snippet of it, and then have to wait a few episodes for more. I really don't
feel like I would know from looking at that it was a smoke monster.
Oh well, I did. I mean, it went like it blew up after that. Like in the. I don't want to say the press, but I mean, in pop culture, it was that moment was when it started being referred to as the smoke monster.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll ask Derek. Derek, did you think it was a smoke monster at this point?
I didn't think it was a smoke monster. I just thought that was like its telltale sign that it was coming. I didn't know it was actually. I mean, I'm not thinking that it's made out of smoke.
Well, I'm not saying that it's made out of smoke either. Like, they don't really know what it is or what it's made out of. It's just, I'm saying, like, people noticed that the smoke was connected to the sounds.
Right, yeah, that's what I noticed.
And started, yeah, exactly, and started referring to it as the smoke monster.
Or maybe just farted, and that's what it looks like. So.
That could be.
And then we get the big dramatic music, and they start taking off running. Then all of a sudden you see it like starting to gain on Shannon, and then you just see her feet kind of come up off the ground, and she starts screaming, and Boone like runs up, eyebrows super arched, like Shannon.
Meanwhile, I'm like, die,
finally.
I thought when the asthma was going to do it. Yeah. Had to wait long. Fine, fucking die, Shannon.
Then we go to our next flashback where he's in some room overlooking the opera house. And there's a
pretty view in the hotel room.
Yeah.
When you own your own company, you can get that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm the CFO. And there's a knock at the door. He answers, and Shannon's there. He asks why she's there, and she just sort of walks into the room and says that Brian took the money and left. And Boone's like, well, the player got played. And Shannon starts acting a little weird. She's like, I knew you'd bring the money. He says, I knew it. And he keeps telling her she's drunk. And she says, I know you brought it because you're in love with me. And Boone once again says, like, you're drunk. And now you're delusional as well. And she keeps going on about saying, I know you've always been in love with me. I've always known it. And then she starts like kissing his neck and nibbling on his ear. And this is the part where I kind of throw up in my own mouth.
Ew.
Yeah. And she keeps telling him, it's okay. It's okay.
It's very rapey.
And yeah,
the way that she's just like trying to convince him to go with it when he's resistant, it's gross.
Yeah.
But then he does give in.
But then he starts kissing. And then he starts kissing, and and then they intimate that they're about to get busy, and Boone is about to taste the forbidden sister milk.
Oh, so gross.
Stepsister.
Stepsister. Keep putting that distinction in there. Makes it all better. Then we cut to an out of focus shot where it's kind of like Boone's profile, and you hear Shannon say his name, and she turns on the light, and she's sitting on the chair behind him. And she says, like, when we get back to LA, let's just play like nothing happened.
Bitch.
Oh, she doesn't really say she flat out tells him when we get back, things are going back to normal. That's it. Like, she's just draws a line. 'Cause she's a bitch.
And then Boone says, all hurt and wounded, like it's all up to you. And we cut back to the present where Boone comes up to this sort of creek, still looking for Shannon, and he comes down, he sees a bunch of blood splattered all over the rocks. And then he looks, sees the blood in the water,
She did.
Kind of follows it upstream, and he sees her body all just torn up. Lacerations all over her. I think the unsub obviously took issue with the sister fucking, which I think explains the excessive mutilation.
God.
And he starts saying Shannon repeatedly, and she's really quite dead at this point. And we cut back to the jungle at night, and Boone sort of kind of emerges from the jungle, and he sees Locke sitting by the fire. And Boone just bum rushes him, basically tries to bushwhack him while he's sitting at his own fire. And he pulls the knife, says it killed her, and he jumps on top of Locke. And Locke says, sort of surprised, "Oh, you made it back," which I thought was an interesting line. And he says, that thing killed my sister. It's your fault. She died in my arms. And then Locke asks him, like, well, if she died in your arms, why is there no blood on you? And
which is actually, people can die without bleeding. Right.
Well,
trauma.
But he was following the blood in the fucking stream.
Bloody.
Like,
no, I understand that, but Locke doesn't know it at that point. So he says, "Why is there no blood on you? She could have died without bleeding."
True, he didn't know her cause of death.
True.
Or how
Thank you. Yes, that's my point.
Unsub.
That's very true. The unsub. The unsub is very devious.
Yes.
And Boone starts looking at himself and is like, notices that there's no blood, and then he just looks at Locke. He's like, "What happened to me?" And Locke says, "I don't know. You tell me." And then you hear Shannon's voice in the background, and the camera kind of pans over to her, and you see her hanging out there with Saeed, having a grand old time.
So there was one other line that Locke said that struck me, which is funny because I missed the one where he said, "Oh, you make it back," like you pointed out, Ben. But that is really interesting because it sort of implies that Locke had accepted the fact that he might not and still did that to him. Yeah. But he also said, when Boone says that it killed her, he also says, "Is that what it showed you?"
Yeah, I remember that line.
Yeah, so I find this line like super interesting because it could be he is referring to sort of the obvious choice, which would be the drug.
I think he said, "Is that what it made you see?"
Is that what it was? Okay, is that what it made you see? Either way, so the point that I'm trying to make still stands even with that wording. But at this point, I am left wondering, like, is he talking about the drug that he mixed up, or is he talking about the island?
I think he's talking about the island because in the earlier episode when he was looking at the monster, it doesn't show what he saw.
Right. But he said it was beautiful. He said it was beautiful. He showed me and it was beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think like it struck me that he's talking about the island in this moment, which makes it interesting.
Yeah. And after he says that, "Is that what you made me see?" and Boone says, "Is that what made me see?" You could see like Locke almost like visibly like brimming with excitement. Like you could see that in his face. Yeah. He's like really excited about this moment.
Right. And although maybe he's proud of himself that he was able to mix up some psychedelics, I guess, I think it follows more that what he's grinning about is like the island.
It worked.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
And Locke tells him that he gave Boone an experience that he thought was best for his survival, and that it was only as real as Boone made it. And then Locke asked him, how did you feel when she died? And Boone said repeatedly, I felt relieved.
Yeah, that's
before he said that, I'm like, he's probably going to say relieved because I felt relieved.
Yeah, yes. I felt relieved.
Yeah, that's the thing.
She's never going to tell anyone back home about what we did.
Right. We all kind of, there's
stays
that.
in Australia, or what happens
in
Australia
stays
in Australia.
Together. Like, even the four of us watching this, we all have been irked by Shannon the entire time. And so, yeah, I think the viewer feels that relief as well.
Yeah. And then Locke says it's time to let go. And again, just like something about the way his eyes look, there's like an anxiousness to him and a kind of an excitement, but also like a knowledge. Like he kind of sees things coming together. And that's, I think, why he feels all of this, why he feels so like confident all the time.
Yeah, and then the moment is solidified with them like heading back off into the jungle, right?
Yeah.
It feels like it puts a period on that sentence of we're doing this now, Boone.
Yeah. Yeah, and then John straight up says, follow me.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And then like obviously, hey, follow me, we're going somewhere, but also you could tell it's a very point blank, follow me. Right. And they end up
like a cult leader.
Yes,
yeah,
much
exactly.
more like that.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to put you on lockdown. Anyway. So they walk off into the woods, or Locke walks up in the woods. Boone follows him, and that's the end of the episode.
Woo! All right. So, lots to talk about here with all the sister fucking and whatnot.
Sister milk, the sister fisting.
Oh,
No.
Hey, Mr. Sister Fister.
God.
Oh, my God. All right. Are you guys ready for the fun fact today?
Yes.
It's a very special one. We're going to talk about what happens to the body when you're on a fruit-only diet.
Oh, God.
It's not as bad. Well, it's not as bad as you would think. I mean, it's not healthy. You shouldn't do it. But there are some interesting benefits that you would see as well. So I looked this up.
You don't need toilet paper anymore.
There's some very famous people who were fruitarians. Leonardo da Vinci, Gandhi, and Steve Jobs, who died because of this, essentially, when he had cancer. And so Ashton Kutcher was hospitalized because he was on a fruitarian diet when he was studying to play Steve Jobs in that film. Yeah.
Wow.
So here's some interesting
serious method acting. Holy shit.
No shit.
Yeah.
That sounds like something Christian Bale would do. He's like, I only ate fruit for 15 years.
Now, Christian Bale would actually become a piece of fruit.
Yeah.
All right. So here are some good things that will happen if you're on a fruit-only diet. Inflammation in your body will drop because of the loss of processed food. You will lose weight, which can be good at first if you have a few pounds you want to get rid of. However, that will become a negative down the line because you're going to start losing muscle mass, and that's not healthy. You will feel less bloated because you're not taking in dairy or grains, which can cause both or do cause both. And your cholesterol levels will plummet, which can be good. However, on the flip side of that, your macronutrients will not be balanced. There's no way you can get enough fat or protein in your diet, and you will have way too much sugar.
No B12.
Right, exactly. Well, that's vitamins. This is macronutrients. So macronutrients is the division between fat, protein, sugar, and carbs, the percentages that you eat out of 100%. Mm-hmm. And so it needs to be balanced. For different diets, they have to be balanced in different ways. But on fruit, you're basically just getting sugar. So you will have an enormous energy level drop because you don't have protein or carbs. And like you pointed out, Christy, you will be missing vitamins and minerals, which will eventually lead to deficiencies that can kill you. And of course, as Hurley found out, you are going to be shitting in your pants. So no all fruit diets. You heard it here first.
We never really knew that he actually shat in his pants.
No, that's an assumption.
Correct.
You are correct.
He may have sharted a few times.
Right. All fruit.
Yeah.
All fruit diets lead to leaf diapers. Is what I'm saying.
Hurley, did you shit in your pants? Hurley's like, depends.
You can't use the same joke twice.
Can't I? I just did.
Let's talk about some best moments. Christy, tell us all about how Hurley's done it for you again.
Oh my God. Hurley and Jen at the beach when he was trying to make Jen pee on him is the funniest thing, I think, in all of the entire history of the show. That moment.
Oh, that's the one moment. Okay.
Wow.
I just love that moment so much.
Worst?
And your worst?
Oh, sorry.
She's having that stroke again.
When Boone thinks that Shannon was killed by the monster, because at first he looks crushed. He doesn't look relieved while he's standing there in the stream. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Ben, how about you? What were your best and worst?
My favorite moment was when Jin brings Hurley the fish in the cave. And
interesting.
Hurley
Why?
notices it's already gutted. Because it's one of those things where it's like there was never really any animosity. Like Hurley thought there was because he didn't understand him and because Jin's kind of a severe looking dude. But this is one of those episodes where you see glimpses of Jin that he might not be such a bad guy, you know, when he brings him the fish and he's basically helping her, trying to help Hurley most through the episode. But I just thought it was a nice, that's a very nice moment. The worst moment was a moment they didn't show, but I mean, sister fucking, that's gotta be, that's blah.
Agreed. That is also my worst moment. I just wrote down sibling sex. Hello.
ew.
Is it me you're looking for?
So let's talk for a second about a man and a woman, or two children who meet at the ages of 10 and 8 and are raised as brother and sister. How gross is that?
Okay, right? Jetty.
I'm just saying, like, is there an argument to be made that that's okay? To me, that seems like most of your life, and that's fucking gross. Like, you should see them as a sibling.
Yeah, I think it's disgusting.
I agree.
Okay.
Like, I don't begrudge. If somebody does that, if somebody falls in love with their stepsister or whatever, and they end up having, like, wanting to do that, cool. That's fine with you.
Well,
I'm going to find it personally repugnant.
Tell anybody what to do. Yeah, exactly.
You know,
but
it's actually not terribly gross if you think about it, because there's no, they're not related to each other, right, and there are stories where this has happened throughout history.
So I wondered, like, there are, I mean, of course, I guess my thing is that I'm feeling like at the ages of 10 and 8 that you're young enough to form a sibling bond. It's not like your parents got married and you're in your 20s and then you meet this person and like I feel like when you're that young you're going to actually form a bond like a sibling and I'm guessing that I think that the show making them stepbrother and sister was trying to say, look, it's not as gross, but at those ages to me it is. To me I think that's really weird. Like, of course, like you say, Ben, if people want to do it, I don't fucking care, but I'm finding it gross.
If they had met it, like, one was 16 and one was 18, or, if they were like a little older and they met, I could see it. But 8 and 10, like, having step parents and all that type of stuff. When you're raised around people that aren't necessarily blood, they still feel like family.
Yeah, that's my point. Okay. So I agree with you, Ben. That's my worst moment as well. My best moment was when Locke said, "It's time to let go" to Boone. They had, he's kind of leaning into the fire and his face is lit with these flames and he's just looking really powerful and really assured and just, it's time to let go and then let's go do our thing now. And so I really loved that moment. Derek, how about you?
My best moment was when Hurley was begging Jen to pee on him. Reaching for his package. I just thought, and then Jin's reaction, no. That was just funny. So funny. I was laughing big time. And the worst moment was basically when, Shannon, fucking over Boone, having him fly out to Australia, and it was just a scam.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that you find out that it's happened many times.
Yeah, this was like the third time, I think. Yeah.
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 She literally fucks him over.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, literally.
Ben, how about what are your best and worst characters and your fucking and your killing stuff?
Let's see. favorite? I can't recall. Let's see. Locke, this episode, absolutely. Locke is my top. And Shannon is the worst. I think, she's going to be everyone's worst because she's an awful person. I would... in this one, I'd kill Boone. I'm not even sure why. I'd kill Brian, her boyfriend.
Brian. Okay, I was like, why would you kill Boone? He did all right.
The roided out Gabriel Byrne clone. Yeah, he's just he needs to go. And in this one, I think I'd fuck Sun because she's in there.
You like that tank top?
I like that tank top. I really did.
That's why Jen wants her to cover up.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because you got Ben skulking around.
That's right.
All right, Christy,
your husband's out fishing. Interesting.
My top is Boone in this episode because he, I don't know. I just liked Boone's character in this episode. My bottom is Shannon because she's Shannon. I'm fucking Boone. He was ready to kill Locke for Shannon, so that was, even though they're brother and sister, that was very romantic, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, maybe it's incest.
Maybe it's just a pity fuck. I don't know.
It's okay. I've been handing those out too. Yeah, I think Charlie got one.
Then I'm gonna kill Shannon for using Boone over and literally fucking him. Ew.
Yeah.
I think you're killing Shannon because she's moving in on Saeed, and that's your boy.
I do like me some Saeed.
Derek, how about you?
Best character is Boone, just because what he went through in this episode, and at the end he felt relieved when he thought that Shannon was killed. And my worst character is Shannon, and I fuck Kate in this episode because I just liked when she was kneeling in the garden.
Oh.
A lot of seeds going on.
Yeah, a lot of seeds and plowing, and
it's a very erotic scene.
And even though she wasn't killed, I'd still kill Shannon.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking it was about this one when they were in the garden and everything. I kept thinking about Sex Farm Woman.
What the fuck is a sex farm woman?
It's one of the songs from Spinal Tap. You remember that was one of the songs in the movie, Sex Farm Woman. All right.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Somebody Google this quick. Okay. My rankings. I had a hard time choosing my top. I was torn between Boone and Locke. And in the end I went with Locke. I have to put aside the drugging someone without consent in order to keep him on the top, but he's on a mission and he is making it work on the island, and I am impressed with that at this point in the story. Shannon is the worst character, obviously, and I'm killing her as well. She, could have sued her stepmother instead of fucking over her stepbrother to get money. Why did he have to be involved in that? Why did she have to make him a victim because she was a victim? It's just absurd, and I hate her.
Because she wanted him to chase her.
Yeah, there's a little twisted bit of that in there. I think you're right. Is. Yeah. So I'm going to fuck Boone as well this week. Maybe it is a pity fuck as well. I actually wrote down poor guy next to him on my notes here. It's just he seems like he's trying to be a decent guy and he was really taken advantage of. And so I am just going to have to ride those eyebrows until he forgets about his sister.
I hope you at least wipe her slime off of him before you hop on him.
No, that's nasty. That's really nasty. Ben, can you update us, please, on the power rankings?
One quick thing. Sex Farm Woman is an actual song by Spinal Tap.
All right, then you win.
Yep.
I would not make up such a thing. Let's see. Power rankings. We don't really have a whole lot of movement. Actually, everyone's still in the same place. Shannon had stabilized from about episode 7, but she just dropped off the fucking map.
Yeah, I had to figure that was going to happen.
Yeah, she's down at negative 106 right now. We've got Kate on the other end of that at the top at 105, but Locke is now gaining on her. He's been coming up fast ever since episode 7 or 8. He's just every episode he's climbing. Jack is still in third place, and then we've got Michael and Sawyer still rounding out the bottom three.
Okay, so we've got a race for 1 and 2 best and 2nd and 3rd worst. This is essentially because nobody's going to beat Shannon.
Yeah,
for the worst.
No,
I mean,
no, she's probably got that locked down for the rest of the season, I think.
Yeah. So let's talk about final impressions. Christy, do you want to start?
Ew. Just
Ew.
One word review. Ew.
Full summary.
Yeah, just ew to
Sibling
Shannon and
sex.
Boone. Yeah, ew. And also Locke is a psychopath. So
You think?
Really?
I don't
I
know
just-
if he's a psychopath. I don't know. I think he's
neither.
just like he's on a mission and he just seems to know what's right on this island. I feel
but
like
you
I would
can't
follow
just
him.
fucking hit somebody in the back of the head and then
Well-
tie them up.
But someone like Boone needs that.
That's
in
the
this
thing.
situation.
It's like Locke he's convinced me that it is what Boone needs, and I'm not normally one.
But
I
who
mean,
is
you
Locke
guys
to
know me.
determine that?
Okay, listen, this is what I was going to say is I'm not normally one that would follow like the shaman guy. You know, I want to be on Jack's side and I'm like liking science and whatever, but it's like the results. He's producing them. Like Boone changes. He becomes a better person. And it's like, of course you can't go around hitting and drugging people. That's ridiculous. But on this island, I don't know. I'm buying it. I guess that's at this point in the show, that's where I am is I'm buying Locke's stuff. Anyway, sorry.
They're already
Christy,
going like Lord of the Flies at this point.
You say
Not quite.
you're buying it lock, stock, and barrel?
Oh, God damn it.
Oh my god.
Ben, what's your final impressions, please?
I mean, I'm bummed that Shannon was resurrected from the dead. I'd like to see her just in the rearview mirror. Obviously, the sister fucking is god awful and gross. But I do really like Locke's sort of his kind of rise in these episodes. I like watching his arc as he sort of becomes the sort of I don't know, the sort of figurehead. And I'm glad to see that, like, you know, Boone is actually finding some purpose, such as it is. And then I really, really enjoyed the whole like Jin and Hurley thing. I thought that was a fun little sub story that sort of injected a little bit of humor and a little bit of I don't know, just a little bit of fun into what was all in all a pretty kind of dour episode. So I really liked
heavy,
it.
heavy ethical
Yeah.
questions in this.
Yeah, I think that's, and I liked it for that reason. It had just enough, you know, a lot of salty and just a little bit of sweet.
All right. I thought it was a great episode. Of course, it's shockingly gross, but for me, the biggest part of this episode is not even around Boone and the sister fucking. It's about Locke coming into his own and really starting to...
Oh, wait, I thought the problem was that Boone was coming into his own.
I saw it as soon as you interrupted. I knew what you were going to say. I saw it coming. Oh, my God. So, anywho, that's really all that I have to say. You see Locke coming into his own as a leader, even if at least right now it's just a leading Boone. You can see how he's sort of growing into this role of channeling the island, which I think is great. So, Derek, final impressions and lasting questions.
Yeah, I really like this episode too. I mean, it does show, even though I thought Shannon was pretty bad before, she's even worse.
Yeah.
And I did like how Locke helped Boone kind of like, you know, see his way to maybe make him better able to survive on the island.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he did knock him out and drug him. And I was sad that Shannon wasn't actually killed. But the sibling sex didn't gross me out as much, I guess because I don't have siblings. I'm an only child, so I just can't relate. But my two biggest questions are, where does the hatch lead? Because we know it's obviously a door. And I wrote this down as, why does the monster look like smoke?
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to tell you one of those questions will be answered. And I'm not going to tell you which one. And also, they're not, whichever one is answered is not going to get answered quickly. So hang tight, Derek. We got a ways to go. So next week, we have episode number 14. It is entitled Special. It's coming to you from Christy, and it's a Michael and Walt episode. Join us next week. Bye.
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 Lost in My 40s is a Space Bear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacy J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trim. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook to interact with your hosts. Plus, follow Space Bear Media on YouTube to watch our episode pre-shows. You can also find us at SpaceBear_media on Instagram and Twitter. Or come to our website, spacebearmedia.com.